realizing every day that you don't got this, that you get to get this is a hard concept, especially for a dude. I'm just going to go say it.
Austin Diamond, welcome to Knocking Doors Down. How are you, good sir?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Great day to be alive. It's a beautiful day here in California, you know?
Yeah.
I got these sober eyes and stuff's great, man. I can't complain, man. Times are weird, obviously. We're in COVID and all this, and you know, this is like the only place we can not wear a mask right now is on these Zooms. But it's pretty cool, right?
Raw dog air, right?
That's it.
We're living life to the extreme. I walked into a convenience store the other day, forgot my mask. I was fucking living that day.
Right? Man, are y'all 6 feet?
Unprotected breathing.
Breathing. Oh fuck. So you know, what's going on with you right now? Of course, you know, family man and you know, drummer, devil driver. But you know, how you handling it? Like, do you miss being out there performing in the studio or what?
All of it, of course, you know, and it all weighs on you, you know. Right now, my best thing, you know, as an addict, alcoholic, you got to stay busy, stay moving, you know, and stay grooving. But it's hard to do all that all right now seamlessly and not get caught up in your thoughts, you know. And you know, I'm working at Amazon right now, which is, you know, weird, you know, but it's cool. I'm driving the big old truck. I feel like, you know, a big guy in a metal truck, you know, which is fitting. But and you know, I'm blessed, you know, these companies now, they're called DSPs. It's like a third party thing. That's how all these work. And you know, your boss can kind of be however they want with you. So it's kind of the perfect situation for me. Like, I got in there and I told him, hey, this is what I do. And I got lucky. He's like a big music guy. He's like, man, I've been to, you know, all these shows and all this stuff, you know. And so he's all about it. You know, he's like, hey, you know, let me know when you got stuff coming up. We'll work with you. And just let me know in time. I'm like, sick. Like, that's a musician. Yeah. Slip me some backstage, bro.
Yeah.
Let me embarrass you at your concert. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, it's cool. I mean, that's the thing to find for a musician is a job to come back to. You know, oftentimes young in my career, I was lucky. I always had my moms to fall back on, but dudes in my bands and stuff, they would be in their living situation and leave it all to go on the road and come back to like couch surfing. And, you know, it gets grueling, the vibe, you know, but anyways, to get back to what you're saying, you know, I battle from day to day, like the rest of us do. And, you know, I just kind of try to stay plugged in. I'm not as fluent as I'd like to be right now. You know, my work hours just changed. So drumming has almost seemingly become a hobby, which sucks. So I'm thinking about pumping the brakes and telling dude, hey, 4 days a week instead of 5, you know, because they're 10 to 11 hour days. So, and they're right in the middle of the day. So I can't come home and play drums at 8 because who the fuck wants to hear double bass at 8? No one. You know what I mean? I barely want to hear double bass at 8. You know what I mean? Unless I'm getting on a stage. But, you know, so that part has been a little weird, you know, and yeah, not playing when you're playing in a band from 19 till I'm 37 now, and that's what you know, and you've done it, and you keep graduating to these next levels, leveling up, and you play fests in Europe where it's like a sea of people you can't even see that far. To yeah, fuck you, we're doing nothing now. You can't do anything because I can't even breathe on you because you might have the shit, you know. That's crazy. It's a crazy so you got to get back to grateful, like we learned in this whole deal, you know. It's just find stuff to be grateful. Realize that I've done something this minutia of people will ever do in their entire life, and accept that if today was that last day that I ever did it, fuck, my life's been sick. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then overcoming all of this as well that we're here to talk about. Fucking nuts. So the inspiration goes way further than I ever imagined as far as that goes. But yeah, you know, I'm still all over the place. Like my mind, like the rest of us, we're like boom, off topic, all over, you know. But try to just keep some sanity and you know, talk myself off the mental cliffs, I call them, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely all have those a lot. You know, I know, like we were talking prior to the jumping on the recording, you know, the getting back in group, man, that was a fucking mistake for me, because I even went to people and was like, if I don't, the shit's gonna fucking hit the fan again after, you know, over a year or whatever. And luckily, you know, get back, you know, starting steps over and just, you know, redoing the work. You know, I was reading, I think it was the AA, you know, daily reading today about that it's not a thing where you get to step 12 and it's like, you're done. It's no, you got to fucking work that the rest of your life. That's just how it is.
Yeah. And that's easy to forget too. It's easy to take your will back and get back into like, man, I got this now, man. It's like realizing every day that you don't got this, that you get to get this, is a hard concept, especially for a dude. I'm just going to go say it because we're dudes. Who the fuck? I mean, you could have never told me 4 years ago that talking to other addicts that have done crazy shit and getting vulnerable and talking about our feelings was going to help me out. I was just like, that's just going to make me want to go buy a sack. You know, what are you talking about? You know, that's not a thing, you know, but it is, it's totally a thing. You know?
Yeah. Well, let's jump back to young Austin, man. What were you like as a kid? What was growing young up? You grew up in Orange County area?
Dude, I flipped all over the map. You know, my mom, I didn't really know my mom and dad to be together, although they were together for the first 3 years of my life, and then they split. But my mom always managed to keep my father around because she didn't want me to be without, and he wasn't, I don't want to say he's not capable. Everybody's capable, but he didn't kind of have the push through to make it happen on his own kind of thing. And she sensed that. So she always kept him in the mix, you know, God bless her. And, you know, then my next stepdad came into the mix, which was my brother's. He's my brother to me. He's always going to be my brother, even though he's not my, you know, from my dad. But so it was when my mom found him, it was me, my mom, my dad, and then my stepdad. And then my stepdad had a kid, my brother, all living together like some fucking, you know, TV show shit.
Brady Bunch.
And they ended up being homies, like staying up late at night drinking and just like raging, you know, loving each other. And it was this weird thing. And then my mom left, you know, the stepdad, and then it was just my two dads, literally the show, and my brother. And it was some of the sickest times, or at least I thought so, you know. But so there's a bit there. But yeah, so my mom had me, she's 18, turned 19 shortly after. So young, you know what I mean? My mom went through her own trauma growing up. So she just wanted something to love her. One of those stories, you know what I mean? And her upbringing was brute, you know? So that's what she wanted you know, she wanted love. She didn't feel love. She wanted love. And so I grew up in kind of a 18-year-old mother's party environment, you know what I mean? Kind of, you know, it didn't seem to me out of the ordinary, but what do you know about that? You know what I mean? You know what you're in. So yeah, there was pretty occasional partying, you know, me and the neighbors, our neighbors were this family of like 5 kids. And I again ended up growing up with them and their mom, and we would just do everything together, but also with that entailed parties like every weekend. And so yeah, I mean, I saw pretty extensive drinking early on. Who knows what else was there? You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm sure it was all there. You know what I mean? You don't realize, but yeah, I you know, I didn't really notice. I was the kind of kid that I'm not the story of like, I didn't have enough. I wasn't that emotional yet. I got emotional later. I pretty much put a Ninja Turtle in front of me and I could just rip it up for hours. You know, I can just do whatever, a video game or whatever. You know, but you look at that stuff later, you know, to how I became, you know, I didn't realize that until I went to the rehab. I didn't break any of that down mentally, but they kind of told me, hey, this is a high probability that you started at it because of some of this shit, whether you saw it or not, or whether you cared or you were just very lackadaisical. And I've always just been energetic and hyped to just be alive. So that literally, I was feeling like those things didn't play a part, but obviously they did, because, I was curious about drinking and whatever else with, certain friends that I accumulated. By the time I was 12, already had a beer with my dad, right. I was with my good friend since 6. We were at a school experimenting with some weed, and at night, the crucial, don't do that ever. And lo and behold, we walk away, ripped at 12, and we hear, hey! We're like, what's that? Ripped. We turn around, there's lights. Hey, we have dogs. It's the cops. They were scared shitless. I'm 12 and chubby, fat. I'm a fat boy, total fat boy, scared, hungry, all that.
12,
scared and
I've
hungry.
got the munchies. I'm tripping balls.
I was a chubby little kid too, dude. I get it.
Next week, I'm scared and hungry. It's stupid. It's really dope. But yeah, so I got brought to the police station at 12 by the cops, went home to my friend's house. My mom picks me up the next day, just her deer in the headlight looks, can't believe you got brought home by the cops. You're 12, and that was just kind of the beginning, and I was scared for a minute, not too long, always curious, always curious. Wanted to ditch school to go skateboarding and hang out with those
yeah. I'm right there with you, buddy.
Yeah, same friends, 40s and weed, and tell my dad to pick me up because I'm blacked out on my feet, but I'm sick, all the dumb shit, all that dumb stuff.
So when you were doing all this at 12, were kind of just a fuck it mentality, or were you a little hesitant because you knew what you were doing was wrong, or did you just jump in head first kind of thing?
It was both. I had the rebellious, but on the low, I wanted to be sneaky with it.
Sure.
And so I was, I wanted to get away with it. So I always had what I thought was a great plan, and a lot of the times it worked. So I got addicted to that.
Right.
Ooh, I got away with that. I snuck in, I snuck out at night, I got super high and came back home, and my dad didn't wake up. So fuck, why would I not do it again?
Yeah,
why would I not?
Sure.
So it's kind of that early onset of one of the characteristics of addicts that I try to explain to people that haven't suffered from addiction, or maybe have someone that they know and love that does, is just we fucking lie. It's just what we do. It's not about everything, but when it comes to our using and addiction, whatever it is, we're going to fucking lie.
100%. Yeah. Because we need to get back to it,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Why would you interfere with my using, you asshole?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's you,
It's funny too, because when you're lying, you feel like you're making so much sense, and everything I'm saying right now is so believable. But then you're told some of the stories once you have a clear mind, and you're like, "What the fuck? I was an idiot."
Oh, bro,
it makes so much sense at the time.
100%. You bought that subscription so long ago to yourself. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing is, how are we going to get honest with other people? We fucking lie to ourselves more than anyone else. So,
You're not.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the partying started, different substances. When does even music come into play for you?
Man, music. Yeah. Let's rewind. Music was, if we were on a VH1 special right now, they would show old Polaroids of me in hammer pants, passed out with an old Walkman on, always music, dancing, whitest dances you've ever seen. But I was hyped on it, and myself, very hyped.
Yeah.
And yeah, for sure. And music was always a thing. I was so much more of a listener and a fan and all of that before I even realized that music could be a thing. And I think my parents did before me. My dad, he was my hero. He would do shit like play Wipeout on a fucking washer and dryer, and I thought it was the fucking shit. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, dude, do that again. Like, how do I do that? Like, how are you doing? You don't play drums. Like, how are you doing that? You know, and all his music and just influenced by every different relative. Just one person was metal. My dad was just metal. He was the metal dad. Like, my friends knew him as the metal dad. He had this fucking lifted GMC truck. Every sick metal sticker at that time that you could imagine: Slayer, Exodus, Metallica, Suicidal Tendencies, fucking Pantera, and like Sepultura. It was just all the bangers from the 90s. You know what I mean? And he would just roll up loud as shit, whatever. Just, you know, and my friends were just like, dude, can your dad be my dad, dude? Like, your dad rips. You know what I mean? So yeah, so eventually, you know, my stepdad, he was in a band, a garage band, and they would come over and they would play at the house. And I guess one day they were taking a break and I got on the drums just out of curiosity, and I was just fucking around. My mom saw it immediate and was just like, yeah, you have rhythm immediately. Like, and sure enough, I was 9, and that's when I got my first kit. That Christmas, my aunt had purchased my first like used Tama 80s fucking Tama Rockstar kit. You know, I set them up like a complete idiot. I got this picture. The toms are all like, and like nothing makes sense. Like, it's the best. And I have a mullet. It just rips. It's a killer fat Austin. Like, my hair looks like I combed it with a hot dog because I haven't showered in like a week. You know, who cares? You're 9.
I gotta
you know?
see a picture, dude. You gotta send us a picture.
Oh my god! If I had the share content, I should have had some. I didn't think about it enough.
You can see it. We'll plug it in the video for the YouTube so people can see it.
Love it. Oh,
yeah.
I got him. I got it on deck, dude. Just the Rolls Royce too, man. They're great.
Well, everybody's got to start somewhere. Wow. Apparently I needed to start with a haircut that looks like I brushed my hair with a hot dog.
Oh, shit.
So once you got your kid, you just hit the ground running or what?
Ish. You know, I played a lot. We made an infamous Mother's Day. I had braces. This Mother's Day video my dad made for her one day, because we were all like, you know, split up at one point. And so that was the Mother's Day of me and my brothers being cute, and just a lot of it was the drum video. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so there's that. What were you saying? I blacked out.
Hit the ground running.
Hit the ground. Okay.
Yeah.
So from there, you know, it was a very gradual thing. I would get on them, and we lived in Menifee too, which is just it's like the devil's butthole, man. It's so hot. We had no air conditioning. And so you'd play for an hour and you're just gassed, you know? And sure. Like I said too, like I played baseball. I love that, but clearly that's not soccer. Like, I didn't like sports where you had to run constantly. You know what I mean? Like, baseball was my avenue. Like, I could still eat and I could be Babe Ruth. Like, I could smash the shit out of the ball, and
you get to chill between pitches. I get it.
Yeah, I played first base. Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to move minimally, but be awesome.
I mean, we're not animals here. I don't want to run the whole time.
Give me fucking sunflower seeds and let me chill.
Yeah.
That's it, dude. But yeah, so slow. It was a slow progression, really. It was more just as a fan. And then my dad showed me this weird thing. I've still never heard it done, and I really would love to do this at some day. But he would make these mixtapes that were so sick. He would make his own metal mixtapes, and it's not what you think. Not just, he would make them like standard, like song after song, whatever you want it to be. But then he would, when CDs came out, so you had the old CD player, right, that had the 2 tape decks. Right. Okay, so you'd have a blank cassette tape, and you would play the CD, right? Okay, oh, I like this riff. And then you do take the pause button off and record just the riff or the length that you want, pause it again, maybe rewind it and play it, loop it, and then just have whatever in a row that you want. And so it would just be this sick collage of the slamminest parts of songs. I'm like, this is the shit. And I would get so into that. I would 7 hours and shit. And I've still never heard anybody make a metal mixtape like that. And it's killer. I mean, I'm telling you, we could get mint vintage and just go back on that shit, and you'd be some new shit. But that got me really into it. And then finally, about middle school, I moved from Menifee to HB, and I was like definitely my fattest and definitely my most insecure.
Sure.
And that's when I decided, let's get me into band. My mom was like nervous that I was going to go a bad route. So she wanted me to get reconnected in sports and this and that, get some core group of friends. And so I met some of my lifelong friends in there and did band, you know, total jokester. But like our conductor or whatever, he saw this just light in me and would hype me up. It was like, dude, you got some stuff naturally. And he would just always telling me, so that hyped me up, you know. And I wasn't even really playing kit still at that point, like not a lot, you know what I mean? I was kind of in the rafters. I busted out once in a while, and like my mom would demand, hey, play it for Aunt Linda or whatever, you know what I mean? Just, okay, motherfucker, get him out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she probably hates this. It's all brittle. But then, you know, finally I get into high school, I do marching band and really learn some shit, like some notes, you know what I mean? And then the first Slipknot came out, and that got the kit out. That was like marching band plus some more things, the double, like I've never heard such aggressive, like there was Pantera and I loved it and all that. But that really made me get the kit out. And I instantly realized all the drumming I'd been doing through band and now through marching band, I was like a fucking completely different player on the kit. The ideas were just flying out, and I was just like selling by the minute on the drum, not even by the day. It was just like, just constant ramp up. And then I got the double pedals, and the rest was just like, I was hooked, you know? I was hooked.
You know, I can only imagine. I unfortunately never went the band route. My brother got in some trouble. You know, I had the big Tommy Lee hair and everything else. I'm a little older than you, but you know, when I did try, and it's like, I remember a buddy of mine's like, all right, so this is a double, this is a paradiddle. It's like, oh fuck, all right, never mind. I'll just do radio. Forget it. Because that shit's fucking crazy, you know. So
yeah.
Where you are now may not be where you came from. The choices you make today may spiral out of control or spin you in the right direction. Discover a riveting, true story of how Carlos Vieira nearly destroyed his life and lived to tell about it. Stand up, stand firm, believe, make it happen, and live through the madness. Knocking doors down along the way. And don't miss others telling their powerful stories on our podcast. Visit kddmediacompany.com.
When is then, you know, kind of the, you know, you mentioned about 12 getting busted, but now we're at high school era age. You're in Huntington Beach, did you say it was?
Yeah. I went to Edison High School, yeah.
So when did kind of the substance use start to come back in? Did it ever go away?
Well, so I never got into the harder drugs until right out of high school. But I did find this certain friend and friends through that friend that, you know, he was like the 2 years older kind of guy. And we just all thought he was the shit. He was, you know, good looking dude, pulled all the chicks, and I not so much, you know, was insecure and like 240 pounds, like no shit, like a big dude. And but we like vibed. We vibed on music. We vibed. We just had that connection. You know, he was actually kind of dorky, and then he met my dad and me, and he became more confident because of the vibe, I think. You know. But he was the same guy that, you know, got us all the little core 5 people into, you know, smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, and then eventually, you know, doing speed and stuff like that. That was the main thing for me. It was the demise, the drug of choice, I guess, you know. But that happened, you know, like out of nowhere, actually. When I was like 18. Like Christmas Eve or something like that. When I was 18, it's the first time I ever did it. And I was with this certain friend, and, you know, I guess he had been doing it for a while. I had no idea. Cause when you don't know, you don't know. You don't know what it looks like. And if you have like-minded friends like you, and they got all this energy, how is it going to look any different to you? You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't really realize. But yeah, he had been doing it for a while. And I guess now that I can visualize and conceptualize it now, is like, there's a point, and you could probably agree with me that like the misery loves company thing, he probably just couldn't help himself anymore. So one day he just busted it out, like, you know, the pipe. And I'd never seen anything like that before. And he's like, dude, you need to try this. You know what I mean? And I was really vulnerable at the moment and just really drunk. And there was women and, you know, I didn't want to look like a bitch, that whole thing. Sure. Dude, just one, you know? And so I did. And then it turned into like 20. And then I go home that morning, 6 a.m. to my mom's. And I'm in this truck hearing this band Cryptopsy that I like love now. And then I didn't even understand it until that night for whatever reason. And I'm bumping it so loud in the driveway of my house in my 64 Chevy truck. And my mom comes walking out like, what are you doing? I'm like, Mom, you gotta hear that shit. It's fucking blowing my mind. You know, I just identify with it. And she's like, oh my God, you're on the shit. Like she just called it out. You know what I mean? And it was wild. Like although when you're doing that the first time, I feel like you're on top of the world. So like you could push that right. It's like, even though my mind was like, oh my God, at the same time, I was just able to sell my shit. Like, you know what you're talking about? I'm just in it. I'm into this. You know what I mean? And there's just that whole vibe, you know, and come to find out later, she had done plenty of experiencing of her own. I mean, she was born in the 60s, you know, they did everything. They did everything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was the beginning. And then that was the beginning of her worry for the next jillion years on and off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because at this point, if I'm doing the math right, your mom's only about 32 years old when you're 18. So she's still a very young woman. And
yeah, exactly. So
shit, that's my age now. Yeah, if I were to see a kid all in my driveway at 6 a.m. blasting music,
your son,
pupils the size of pennies, I'd be like, you little motherfucker.
Johnny, son of a bitch over here.
Get in your ass, little junior son of a bitch.
Where's that asshole that gave you that shit, you know?
Exactly.
So was this kind of the catalyst then that continued for you throughout even, you know, your career? I mean, you've played with, you know, many a different band.
Yeah. So it was all very secretive, and it started like it starts for all of us, I think, where you know, just the weekends or mainly with me and this specific friend. I think the real chemistry of it, literally, was the bond of friendship already as childhood friends meets the drug, meets the connection with music, meets now there's a fortress around you of why should I not do this all night and just fucking shred for days on end and go to work still. And there was no reason. I'm young. This is what you do. And certainly if you play metal, you do all this and you do it hard and you brag about it, you know, to those that accept that kind of thing. Man, I was up for 2 days and then I played this show. You know what I mean? Like, nuts, right? Like that's the shit we learned from some of our you know, our examples.
Yeah.
But that was the vibe, you know. And yeah, I was somehow able to keep mostly it under wraps, and kind of actually it was the opposite of what you would think. Like I'd be able to go on the road and that would be like my now I can just do the things that are acceptable and not do the other. And then I would get home and be like totally torn from the adrenaline of the road and just the high of the road. It's literally a utopia. If you've ever done something that you love that much, you know, it's not a job and you're on this high, even if you don't do any of it, you're like, fuck, there's no worries. There's no cares. It's the feeling of the drugs when you're on them, kind of like I'm out in fucking Tuscaloosa. I don't know anybody. I've never been here. And I feel at the most peace I've ever had because I have no responsibility other than to go rip tonight, which is something I love. So it's just this, you know, and I was missing that when I come home. So I would go out and hide. And then, you know, the process, you hide from those that love you because you're ashamed. And you know, you think that's what they need is to you to just be away. That's helping them, right?
Yeah.
But
that's a big one we tell ourselves as addicts, right?
Fuck. It's fucking crazy. Yeah. So that was the process through my first band, Bleed the Sky, and then, you know, Chimera, and then at the beginning stages of Devil Driver, you know, I would come home and just convince myself that I was depressed or bummed and use that as the catalyst, and I'm so blessed that I have made it through the the mist, and that I get opportunity. I was so afraid even to think about how would I ever talk about my shit, like this, especially in this kind of light as well. But it's like hindsight is that this helps a lot of people, this helps and you're put into a platform of today's age. Some people look at it as like, oh, the internet is a fucked up place, but it's also can be good. It's what you're looking for, and what you need to look for at the moment, whether you get that or not. I got to believe that this is all good, and this is how you're supposed to use these platforms. And, it's about helping people and relating to your shit, not keeping it behind the door, if you will, because, at one point we thought it wouldn't help anyone to, why would this help? You know what I mean? Well, shit, that's the first answer to not help myself. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like someday, and you still, as addicts, I think we get into the mind frame. We still get into that mind frame. Like, what is that going to matter? What is me trying harder over here and to do this cool thing and then documenting it and putting it out there for somebody? You know what it's doing? It's proving to them that they can do it. Because who the fuck are we? We're just some dude. You know what I mean? If I'm not just some dude, then I'm bigger than my britches, and I'm a step closer to fucking going and taking a drug again. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's how I look at that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ego is a motherfucker, period, in life, bro. Let alone when, you're in recovery and maintaining it. It fucks with you, man. It fucks with you. It says a lot of the wrong things about it, and you're absolutely right, because the interesting thing is, you're sitting there, you're talking about your friend that you had that connectivity with, the insecurity about your weight issues, whereas, see, I'm the opposite. I'm still a fucking twig. I think I weigh $150 soaking wet. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but at 6'3", and so I had a lot of all these insecurities, especially, like you said, girls or whatever it was, and being naturally an introvert, but then pounding some beers or whatever, smoke a joint, I can go fucking talk to anybody, and that's the cool thing now about within group settings and even in sobriety is, guess what? You get a whole new kind of killer, genuine, honest, real connection with people when you sit in that type of thing, or as you're sharing your story with folks.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing is too, is like, for me, is like, I was so worried to lose my career I was worried to lose the music more than my life. And I didn't put that together. My career was more important to me than realizing these drugs will kill you. These will kill you before you're not getting to play music. So it was always this, like, people would threaten, I'm going to tell your band, all this, and I'd be like, oh, if that happens, then I'll lose music and I'll just get on a sicker one or what, you know what I mean? Just insane thinking, so I know I'm in the right place right now. You know what I mean? So, and I was certain that the case would be, I'm going to be fired, right? When the reality is it has been exposed. And you know what happened? These people just loved me so much that they just wanted the best for me. They wanted to make sure that, and I'm like that. I'm a fear-based person. That's what I learned in rehab. I'm a fear-based person. I exaggerate everything to be worse than it is way before it's even there. I just create it. And it's not even a thing. And it could be for good shit, like goals. I get intimidated by those goals and be like, fuck this, I'm gonna go out and views, because I just can't handle how intensely awesome that's probably gonna be if I put in the work. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. It's totally crazy. So
where do you think that fear-based thinking kind of generated from? Do you think it was kind of the some of the interesting situations of your home life growing up, or did you ever do any work on that?
Of course. I think too, there is a battle of early success.
Sure.
I think when I was young, I don't think I've always done music for the right reasons, right? Because I love it. Mm-hmm. And I think if I was just on this earth by myself playing drums, there's no way without validation that I would continue to do it just because I love it. I need you to bob your head and smile and be like, fuck yeah, that's the part. Now I can move on. Now I know at least one person gives a fuck about that. So now I can feel like, okay, this is cool. you know, because it's a very selfless thing for me. It's not about me. It's not about check out my dick and look at this fucking cool shit I can do. Fuck that. That's not what art's about for me. It's about giving it back to other people. You know what I'm saying? For me, you know, everybody has their own take, but mostly I think we all got something to give back to the world, and that's what it's about. Finding selflessness and happiness so you can be fulfilled. You know what I mean? But yeah, dude. Yeah.
Do you have anxiety by any chance?
I think I do a little bit.
Because when you talk about the fear-based thinking, that's what I have as well. And I have crazy anxiety. So I was wondering if those two kind of one triggered the anxiety.
I think so. You know, I don't either promote or not promote like people that have anxiety, like taking something. For me, it's just, I'm not to that point yet where I have considered it, because I don't want any kind of, I'm just like that. I'm all in or all out, you know, that's just
and that's good. So, that's how it should be. You don't need stuff. I mean, you don't want to have to need stuff to rely on it to calm your anxiety. So my suggestion to you is, if you feel it coming, or you find your zen, if you will, you know, whatever calms you down. For some people it's cleaning, for some people it's taking a drive or something. Nip that shit in the bud, because it can get worse. And that's when, you know, abusing Xanax or Valium and all that shit can come in. So that's what I had thought of when you'd said that.
Because I have seen it work, you know. Sure. But when it's like you gotta go to the doctor's opinion route, right? It's like you have to take the suggested amount and not like make your own prescription, because that's kind of like a relapse, however you want to look at it. But that's like, if you're prescribing that, to me, that's like kind of a relapse. It's like,
absolutely,
that would be any of my kind of fear, is struggling, you know, with the aftermath.
And that's why I don't do it, you know.
Depression. It's like, next thing I know, I'm sitting there popping, you know, excessive amount of pills, making up a lie that I accidentally knocked them into the sink while pounding a 30-pack with them, and, you know, over the course of the day. So it's like,
and for me, with my thinking and my just gratefulness to have found a program and a higher power that I understand and all of that, I'm just so grateful for all that. I couldn't imagine having another run in me. That scares me the most. But what's very compelling to me is going to the meetings, and it always reminds me when I go to a meeting and somebody's relapsed after a short amount of time, after a long amount of time, how powerful and rad the program can be. You know what I mean? I look at it like, I say this sometimes in a share, but like the program has formulaically became like another father figure or woman or a mother figure in the back of my brain, that like when you're young, you don't have the ability to like right from wrong yourself. So you hear your dad or mom, if you had a good mom or dad, and you kind of hear that in the back of your voice. Now I hear this shit, you know, like, nah, dog, it's not worth it. You're not going to want to fucking fest, you know, it's all the things, you know what I mean? Just call this motherfucker, joke about it, do the things, and it'll subside, man, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
So
what was the point of rock bottom for you? What was your final, just, I'm fucking done. I need to acknowledge getting help.
It was a culmination, really. It was the rock bottom. It was the ultimatum of, I'm telling your band. You know, it was the whole thing. The cops coming to my fucking door because, you know, my, at the time, girl was looking for me, and she knew what I was doing, and I was just like, fuck, you know, I was pretending to sleep, and they, you know, asked me if I was okay, if I needed to go to the doctors or anything. It was just like, wow, this is where it's at. And it's just like, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out on the rehab thing, you know, still, of course, because I was just, you know, that I was still tripping. And but you know, when this was July of 2017. It was 7/17/17, which was like my first God shot or whatever. You know? So that's my date, you know. Yeah, like I said earlier before we started this thing, it was instantly like not the coming in process or whatever they call that process. I was still like this when I came in. My picture was kind of like I was trying to look normal, but you could tell the fucking shit I'd been through, kind of shit. But it was the day one when I saw everybody else looking the same. And then like some people looked, you know, in better spirits, and the transparency, man, really was the thing that hooked me in it. And then just meeting the right people at the right moment, going to this guy's group meeting out of his house. It was a campfire meeting. I was like, fuck, this is like camping with dudes, and we're just talking about real shit. Like that, like hooked me in hard. Like that was my home group, and that and the home group meeting at the rehab that I went to. I would go every Saturday, and just met a lot of people. I mean, I got a job from one guy, you know, tiling. I didn't know shit about any of that. But that's the kind, you know, the kind of people you meet in this thing that get it and that are grateful. And it's just like some of the raddest people I've met, to be honest. And obviously we're not boring, you know, they've been very daring, so we're not boring.
You definitely have some fucking crazy stories.
Got some stories. If you want a story, you got one.
Yeah, no doubt.
What was it like for you in your own mind, or was there any kind of, you know, self-talk for yourself that like, I am a fucking drummer in a fucking metal band and we don't get vulnerable and share this stuff? Did you have to kind of break any of that down with yourself, or was the process of vulnerability, which is so important to recovery and healing and really identifying some of those places and origins of our, you know, abuse, substance abuse?
I'm a pretty sensitive dude as it is, and pretty vulnerable. And like, I'm just the kind of person that just meet you and just, you know, if I get a vibe from you, like I can probably just tell you all my shit, you know? So I'm already kind of like that, but like, I was like so dire straits to get that shit off my chest with people that would understand it. And I just was wanting to help me and others right away. You know, I was like, you know, for a moment and I still think about it, you know, I would love to, you know, help others in this way too, like working at an inpatient or something like, you know, I've definitely thought about those type of things. However, I can be more connected in that. But like, yeah, I didn't really have any problems with that. I was ready to figure it out and just ready to, you know, get these answers of what I can be doing to prevent this fucking shit from happening ever again. And you know, just start chipping away at the things I needed to do. You know?
5150 is power. The power to overcome. The power to persevere. The power to set your life on a course for success. When you're faced with the challenges life throws at you, you focus and do what is needed to go beyond what is required. So stand up, stand firm, believe, make it happen, and live through the madness, knocking doors down along the way. We are 5150.
Well, we gotta ask, because you know you've had a longevity in the area of playing live metal and everything else. Do you have any favorite road stories that you could share that you remember? Just some fucking crazy situation or something that was just like, how did that shit happen?
So much blur. I mean, there's some really dark ones, and then there are some really monumental ones, obviously. Like, I mean, because my career has been one of graduation. You know what I mean? Certain people, very few people are lucky to get in that one band that just takes it to a level, right? Like our guitar player Mike, he got into Devil Driver, I believe record 2 or the tail end of 1. And that's been it. You know, it's just been ripping ever since, you know, for him. I know he was in other little bands and stuff, but pretty much like he just got to skate into the bus, you know, which is just wild. I'm the dude that's the opposite. Like I came from the van, like a shitty van, you know, and stayed in that shitty van and did 1.5 tours with my first band that sucked, attendance wise. And I mean, certain were cool, but we made no money. We skated in on fumes, literally $5 a day. In my first band, played this guy skated in on fumes, and you know we were all just famished. $5 a day for if you pick a burger or pack smokes. You know, we were having people bring us liquor and maybe some spaghetti, crashing at weird people's houses. The whole thing, dude, just wild shit. And we didn't give a fuck. It was rad. We loved it, honestly. Did we miss money a little? Fuck yeah, you know, burned all our bridges, asked people for money just to keep us out, and people did it. You know, one dude bought us a van, you know. He passed away from our disease actually not that long ago. But yeah, one of the dark ones from that era, I believe this guy, our guitar player, he was always sick. He was the business guy of the band. Really, he was the reason why the band ever got signed or anything, because he was just so much on the business, like great guitar player and all that. But some of the rest of us wrote a lot more, you know what I mean? But he was just business, like just sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves business, you know what I mean? That shit. And he would get us our first show ever. We'd only been a band and had 4 songs. Our first show ever was a sold out show at the Galaxy out here. When it was called the Galaxy, not the Observatory in Santa Ana, with Opeth. Like, I don't even know how that happened. You know, he just got us opening on that, and we were not great. You know, it was crazy, but you know, and he eventually did all our booking because our manager blew. But anyways, this dude, day and night, 2 packs of smokes, McDonald's diet, whiskey. I think he was taking Vicodin as well for back pain, from, you know, all that. And so he's always sick. So anytime he was like, man, I'm not sick, dude, I'm not feeling it, we'd be like, okay, bro, just go sleep, dude. Like, you're always sick. Why are you always sick? So this one time we played the show in Louisville, and he was like really sick for real. He threw up on stage, and we were all like, fuck, that's crazy. Like, you not look good. But he's like, yeah, I don't feel good. Something's wrong, dude. And he's like, dude, you guys need to go to the next show, but I'm going to have this fan take us to the fucking doctors. And we're all out of it, drinking, all. We're like, all right, you're fine, right? You're fine, right? He's like, yeah, I'm good. I'll meet you guys at the next show. And it's a far drive, like 12-hour banger or some shit. And we get all the way there, and get this call from his mom. It's like, Wayne's not doing good. He showed up to the hospital, and he passed out in like on the way in. He passed out, fell on the ground. They had to get a wheelchair to get him in there. He lost consciousness. He lost his heartbeat, like whole thing. You guys need to like come back. We don't know if he's gonna make it. He's on life support right now. So fucking the dude's like 23. You know what I mean? Fucking just out of nowhere, dude. Crazy. So we get there. Saddest thing I ever seen. The dude's got a jillion tubes in his body and his face. He has a trach. Everything. He's just dust. And anytime he would wake up, he would go to rip the cords out, just out of it, and they would have morphine button, you know. They couldn't figure out what the fuck had control of him and what was keeping him on life support. They ended up finding out it was a sepsis through his whole body, blood poisoning. And they never discovered how it happened. I mean, I'm sure it's a culmination of just shitty living, you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, he ended up losing like 25 pounds in 2 weeks just because he was on food tubes and shit. They found a medicine that they'd only used one other time in the history of the hospital that worked for him. And he had a 25% chance of living, and he lived. And that was crazy, dude. And I've never seen a friend like that in a situation, you know? So move past that. That was, you know, miraculous. It was emotional. It was just like, shit, this is crazy. Move past that, you know, and then we moved to the finer things in life, you know, and with Devil Driver, and, you know, we go to play this fest. I've heard all about my entire career, Download and Vakken, you know, Vakken was the guy, dude. It was the fucking guy. I couldn't believe it, man. I mean, that was just, it was everything Des promised, you know. He was like, dude, you're going to be blown away. We're in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of beautiful Germany, in this town. They make all their money and proceeds for the whole entire year come from this one event in this town. And we get there, man, and you just see it immediate, you know, and we're vibing all day. But then when we get on stage and we're about to play, I mean, the sea of people was just unbelievable, man. I don't even know how many. I mean, 60,000, like something insane.
Oh, at least.
So, at least, you know, you just can't see that far, but it was just like Butterfly Central, and just like all right, like let's click this bitch in, because I know it's jitters until the first couple measures get cleaned up, and then it's just locked in. You know?
Who was on that bill the year you guys played Vakken?
Fuck, I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember. I was still partying at that moment too. You know.
Okay.
So after that, go ahead.
I was trying to remember because there's a great documentary on the Vakken Festival for people that don't know what it is. It is like the premier metal fucking festival. It's like I've always joked with friends, like, if we were to do one festival in Europe, what is it? We're going to Germany, man. Yeah, that's right. Let's go.
That's it.
So I was just wondering, because I couldn't recall if there was a cut to you guys playing in that documentary. So.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know about the documentary, but there's definitely a sick like 4K video of us ripping it. Like, just look it up. Devil Driver. I believe it was 2016.
Okay.
Insane, dude. The pit was just disgusting. Fucking just like Braveheart shit, bro. You know, like that kind of just. This is happening, you know. And where did we go? We went somewhere too where they're all about like the human rowboat thing, like as many people as you can imagine sitting down in front of each other doing this, like maybe 100, and it's just like, what the fuck? That's just so crazy, you know. Definitely owe all those, you know, moments to Dez, you know. I mean, just giving me a shot, you know, believing in me, and just being a great friend and human, and you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Crazy, dude. It's been a crazy career for me for sure, and to make it through the mist with my whole addiction and all of that, and you know, has been the utmost. You know, just experiencing shows the last 4 years completely sober and all of that. You know, that was nervous at the beginning. I was like, fuck, how do you play a show without a few beers first to get the edge off, you know? And it's like, honestly, feeling it, and even feeling little fuck ups, and like, that's where it's all at. That's like, oh yeah, like you feel like you're 12. And that's been, you know, that's been the coolest thing too, is like, after all the smoke like settled and cleared, is like, didn't you love doing like a lot of shit when you were really young without doing anything? Just being you, and you just like had the greatest time. Like, what does that feel like? So as that's come back, it's just like, oh yeah, like life is super sick sober, and like no hangovers, you know, and just like getting to go through emotion, right, and like getting up the next day and wondering, why is today awesome and yesterday sucked, and for no apparent reason. Fuck, I don't know. Sometimes you just don't know.
And having that clear mind too, playing the shows, you're able to take it all in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just take it all in. You remember everything.
Exactly. Exactly. I remember all the places I've been now, and just documented some of it, and got some great pictures, you know. Yeah. And they weren't blurry, you know, from a shaky hand or some shit, you know, like.
Rather than, I think I was there. There were pictures of me there, but I don't remember.
They told me I was.
I only know I was there because there was a picture of me there. But yeah.
There's a ridiculously, I could look at it and laugh now because it is really funny, but it's also like a checklist. Like, I was on a video, you know, Chimera, the first big fest thing I'd ever done in Australia, Soundwave, before it dissipated. We did Soundwave, I believe it was 2011. God, that was 10 years ago. I'm fucking old.
Welcome to the club. I turned 43 this year.
What the fuck? But Vinnie Paul was in the video, you know, Chad from Hell Yeah, and just a lot of people, you know, from bands and shit. We're being interviewed, you know, but we're all smashed. Right when the video starts up, I am so noticeably like just blacked out on my feet. I'm like, and I'm just like, wow, bro, like you are shot out so hard. You know, you're but I'm like, wow, what a great look, man. I was so cool. I was badass.
Oh shit.
I was totally badass.
Well, Austin, we like to give the guests the last word of encouragement, but before we get to that, we do some fun questions here for you, random questions that we're going to fire off your way. So just answer them with fun. Go ahead, Mikey, you're up.
All right, let's start with this one. If you were stuck on a deserted island and you were able to take one movie and one album, what would that be?
Oh, shit.
I know, right?
Wow. Okay. will probably be the Big Lebowski. I got that one like on grabs.
The dude.
That guy's coming. And then one record. Jeez.
That's a motherfucker, right?
That's so hard. I mean, Far Beyond Driven, you know what I mean? Like, it's got it all. That's got it all.
Nice.
You know, and it made metal the angriest it can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you have a guitarist that can make such brilliance out of 2 notes, you know, it's kind of like, all right.
You're one guitar player and you're just the guy. Like,
that band in general, Pantera in general. All right, let me see. Do you have any guilty pleasures?
Ooh, guilty pleasures.
Just to let you know, I thought of adding this question to our random questions when I was rocking Fall Out Boy on the way to work.
Oh, okay. It feels more wrong than ever, given everything and what's happened. But I used to say this, so I guess I'll just say it some more. R. Kelly. That's so fucked.
Edit that part out.
You know, it's just it sucks that he's good. You know what I mean? It's one of those.
He's famous for a reason. He was famous before all this for a reason. You know, the music he made.
I probably shouldn't admit this. I do believe that she does listen to the podcast and watch this. I got my first handy Jada bump and grind. So, you know, hey, I'm with you. I mean, I believed I could fly. You know, we put that shit on before a basketball game. You know?
But and then he really got G with it after that. He was on some banging, like, oh wow, your boy can actually rap too, to like some trap beats. I was like, fuck, this guy he's got it going, dude. I mean, it just sucks that he is who he is.
Yeah. I loved Innocent Until Proven Guilty. The track he did with Jay-Z was the shit. You know, it's like, well, guess Jay-Z won't be performing that one live, or at least with a different vocalist. There's
a lot to say about what people do good and what they do bad, and what, you know, that's always a sticky subject. Like, man, he did all this. Yeah, he did that too. It's like, ooh, you know, I feel like I'm a hypocrite if I write people off like that. Who am I? Like, I guess I'll just experience this one good part of you and know that the rest of you is a sack of shit. Right. I'm not gonna hate your music because of it. I guess if that makes me wrong, I guess I suck. You know. But
hey, welcome to the club. I'm with you.
All right. What is your favorite cuss word?
I guess I say fuck a lot. So it's gotta be fun.
That's the common one. It's mine too. I mean, it's just, there's so many ways to use it.
Yeah, when you come from Southern Orange County, it's
fuck.
Yeah, yeah, everything out here at the beach life, it's like shit that, but fucking, you know, like fucking always just is the commonality for sure.
Absolutely. What is something about you that people will be surprised to learn?
Shit. I would say there's a few. Am I just one?
I throw a few out if you want.
All right. Well, yeah, that I have one regret in my life so far. I mean, I guess that's not one. I've done a lot of shit, but a big one on the pleasure side but I was fat, like I said. I always wanted to be a QB in football, and I could still to this day chuck a ball like casually, consistently, like 60 yards, like no sweat.
Okay, well now I got to ask you, who's your favorite football team?
Oh, the Bills.
I follow him on social media, so I knew that.
Did I take your team out this year or what?
No, everybody did. I'm a Niner fan, so
I'm a Raider fan.
My dad was a Niner fan, so
okay. So the thing is, it's not a football podcast, so I won't go too much off this. But I love football. Football's my shit. I played it when I was a little kid because I was a chubby little kid too. So I played defensive lineman. But
nice.
I'm obsessed with football. In the 49ers, I am diehard. I have been. My grandparents had season tickets at Kezar Stadium all the way to Candlestick. My dad took them over. He and I later split that. Then they moved to the new stadium. So We got a history there. And the Niners were so humbled from last year.
Oh yeah.
Going to the Super Bowl, now having over 30 people on the injured reserve list, you know, people are like, oh, well, your team sucked. It's like, we were playing with our freaking third stringers all year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, the Bills didn't take us out, but the whole rest of the NFC
Now,
did.
let me ask you though, as Austin, as a Bills fan, and Mikey being a Niners, see Raiders, we know it's going to suck. I'm just one of the people that admit it. Is it worse going through what the Niners did, or what the Bills went through with 4 Super Bowls with Kelly as a quarterback and just couldn't fucking win? I think that's worse.
No.
I gotta tell you, yeah.
He still had a
I mean,
good season,
that kind of
though.
it ruined my childhood because my stepdad, he was from Buffalo, so there's the connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So instantly, that was my hook in, and you know, if you're good, you're on TV. So we were seeing the Bills in the '90s on TV in California like every weekend. You know what I mean?
Time, yeah.
So without fail, every weekend I was getting to see the Bills, you know? So every year them losing was just like unbelievable. But also I think that's what kept my shoes in, and I'm all in, you know, because of that heartache. I'm like, well, I'm not just going to turn my back on it, you know? Don't get me wrong. I have an LA team too, or a Cali team, because I get to have one, you know?
Sure.
But they're no longer Cali, but it's the Raiders, you know?
Yeah.
It's the Raiders.
I'm with you.
Raiders.
No,
Raiders.
I got you.
You're up, Mikey.
Fuckers. Niner game. Let's see. No,
Suck it, Mikey.
Well, okay. What's your favorite hobby? Because I know you said that drums turned into a hobby just with your job and stuff, but before that, like that aside, what would your favorite hobby be?
Working out. I mean, I would definitely say working out. Lately, I've been more in that than drumming, unfortunately, and I got to figure that out. You know, I'm gonna have to figure that out because I just do. But yeah, I've been super into. I mean, because I weighed 240, you know, like I said, and slowly through the years, I've found a way to keep off at least the 40 pounds and be no heavier than 200. I told myself that's not going to be a thing. Sure. So I've kept that way somehow. But I've always, you know, since I lost the weight, I was an avid. I would run and work out. Not more running than working out. Running and drumming alone just wiped weight off. Sure, and then I learned about eating. And recently, my new eating habits are like my favorite because I get to eat a lot. And weirdly enough, you know, there's so many bullshit ads and the things that all this stuff like tricks people into, like, and then they give up. You know, because these people are like, I'm like got 8-pack and, you know, I eat pizza and I look like this. But the thing is like they do that once a week, right? It's like you're working out 5 times a week. You know what I mean? For sure. And you've been doing it for a long time. That's what they don't tell you. They want you to buy their shit and they want you to buy it now, you know? So the idea is for me is I know all that now. But the new shit that I do is very science-based upon my body. And it's what they call like the macronutrient diet, right? Mm-hmm. And so I consume a fucking amazing amounts. Like, so what I do is I consume like, I weigh about 180, 182. So I consume that amount in protein in grams a day, okay? And then 200 grams of carbohydrates and then 70 grams of fat. That's my makeup for my height and my age and all of that. And then I work out 5 times a week, you know? But doing that daily and really calculating that, you're like, some days I'm like, fuck, I haven't eaten enough yet, but I'm fucking gotten a lot in. This is crazy, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I love it. I'm loving that. And I think I've always envisioned like kind of being like one of these people that are online that kind of have 2 facets to offer, you know? Obviously I'm been successful with doing music, but I have this other passion for physical health and you know, mental health. There's such a culmination here that I could create and inspire, right? If I just do it, you know, just chip away at it daily, you know. Right now it's been tough because of all this, and it's been hard to just get back in that mix, you know. It just felt like a ghost kind of, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I love early on pandemic, man, I was out on my mountain bike all the time and shit, and then I just like fucking dipped off there for a while. So I hear you. It's tough, man. But absolutely,
not only this really helps. I get steps, but Yeah. I get super pumped when I get connected in this too. And like you get just re-inspired and like, you know what I mean? But I know me now, so I can't get too over, you know, cause I'm overzealous. I get too grandiose, right? That's what we do. And then all of a sudden you get clammed up because you're like, I got too many goals to do, and why do they got to happen today? The thing is they don't. You got to pick one and then move when you're done with that, you know, because that's my issue, you know. I have a shit ton of cool ideas. It's just I put them all together like an idiot and look at them and like that's too much cool shit.
Same.
You know? Yeah.
All right. This is always a fun one. If you could have dinner with just one person, living or not, who would it be and why?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Living or not, who would it be? Sheesh. That's I'm gonna take a second here. And damn, I really don't know. Who would give me that kind of shit, man?
We've had deep ones and we've had just, you know, ones like mine. I'd pick like Denzel Washington. I just think he'd be cool to hang out with.
Yeah, we've had everyone from Jesus to
Elvis
to Mother Teresa. What somebody was just like my mom, you know, whatever.
Yeah, man.
Or De Niro. I'd have dinner with De Niro.
You're gonna have dinner with Bob? You're gonna have dinner?
Or Al Pacino. Pretty much anyone who's been in a Scorsese movie.
Yeah.
This one really got you.
I don't know. I guess, yeah, you know, I guess who else would I, you know? I don't know. I guess God's enough for me, you know, when I can tap in. God, that's enough. Like when I feel like those things happen in your life, and like so many have for me, and I could look back and realize where it was prevalent, and just I don't know, feel like for real, like I know that I'm talking to him, you know what I mean? Like and
yeah, absolutely,
knowing that that's a real thing, not just something that I've made for myself so that I feel better, like just literally getting to know, you know what I mean? I'd be like, you're the man, you know, thank you, you know, thank you for all this. Thank you for all the signs. Thank you for my tribulations and the lessons that I wasn't at the time appreciative for going through. But thanks for showing me re-gifting me this life that I understand is the best one to live, you know?
Absolutely.
I love that.
Awesome. We let the guests wrap it up with some words of encouragement for any of those out there that they're listening. Maybe they're new to recovery, long-term in recovery, or have yet to seek it and just starting to really own the fact that they've got a problem and want to get help. What could you lend to them to encourage them?
You know, just finding that courage to, you know, just be honest with yourself and your situation, and you know that there's a rad, awesome life to be lived that you're unaware of at the moment. But you know, rebuilding doesn't have to be like this momentous, crazy thing at first. You know, it's just these people that are in these rooms and the people at the places you've heard about that maybe you at first look at as like not the greatest place to go and this and that. You know, they offer nothing but love and transparency and things that you will relate to, and quite honestly that will become your new addiction in a way, you know, that helps. It's a good one. It's out of all the using you did in your history of using these people will be the best gift you can give yourself and to them, you know what I mean? And yeah, man, it's just that day at a time vibe, and you know, being honest and just talking, you know, no matter how crazy you think you sound in your mind or what you're going through, we've heard it all, you know what I mean? And we can relate, you know, and some days are going to be rough and others aren't, but you can do it through sobriety. You know what I mean? And it's better. It's way more rewarding. And, you know, you get to give this thing back. You get to give yourself a real life, you know, and it doesn't need to look a certain way. If you give that over to whatever power gives you that, you know. For me, it's God, you know, but I think it's a beautiful thing to not live with the weight of the world on my shoulders, you know. And I think that's what all of us addicts think is happening, and it's just we're consumed by the addiction, by the behaviors. That's not who you are. That's just a product of your problems. You know what I mean? And it's all very possible, man. My shit. I mean, we could have a whole other sub podcast of, you know, how the book lies out these stories. I mean, I got them, you know, and I know y'all do too. But the important part is that we're here talking about the solution, and that's a cool feeling. And to be owning that, no reservations, and being all in on that a day at a time, you know, it's possible. You know, at the beginning, it seems impossible, but just open your ears and open your heart and give up what you think you know about living and listen to this new, better way. Not softer, but better. Yeah. You know? But
absolutely.
Better.
Well, Austin, man, this has been awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys so much. This has been really awesome.